Versa best company.
Versa Business System.
It's a best.
Versa Business System.
True Versa Business System.
Welcome to the Versa Business Tips Podcast. I'm your host, founder and CEO of Versa Business System, Shaheen Mazloom. We're here with a very special guest today, Christian Davenport. We go way back. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me, too. It's nice to see you.
Absolutely, man. Same here, dude. So we're here to talk about a very exciting subject, data, right? Like data is probably the most valuable thing on the planet. It's very controversial. It's everything, right? Without the right data, you're not going anywhere, right? So for those out there that don't know who you are and what you do, give us a brief rundown.
Yeah, definitely. So I didn't really start out thinking that I would be a data guy. Early in my career, I was leading teams and managing operations, and I kept running into the same types of problems. People were making big decisions based on gut feelings instead of facts.
Right.
Sometimes it worked, but oftentimes it didn't. And sometimes I was even on the receiving end of those decisions that didn't work.
Right.
So I realized that if we could capture the right information, we could make decisions faster with less risk and better results. So what we pulled together into deep analytics, not just collecting numbers, but using the data to solve real problems. And I was able to unlock a lot of insights that would have otherwise been left unknown. An example is recently I was working with a hospitality client. They were tracking over 40 different metrics every month.
Right.
It was overwhelming. They didn't know which ones actually mattered. We stripped it down to just 5 key performance indicators, tied it directly to their goals. And within 90 days, they increased revenue by 12% without spending a single extra dollar in marketing.
Wow.
So that's the power of focus.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we've all heard heard the saying, numbers don't lie, right?
Exactly.
It's so, everybody's like, okay, well, I know what my KPIs are. I know what I need to focus on. But at the same time, I think people are tracking too many things that don't really matter, right? Like, and not tracking the things that do matter the most, right? Now, when I think of data, I think of, contact information, right? So like people that I want to reach out to, I've got their data, I've got their information. There's so many things you can do with data. What would you say is one of the biggest misconceptions people have when they're out there in the marketplace buying data?
I would say in that regard, it'd be focusing on the correct type of data. There might be a higher price tag associated with, a larger amount of data, but is that data useful for you?
Right.
It might be more of it, but how is that data being applied to bring you back money, basically?
Right.
Like, are you able to track, all right, this X amount of data cost Y amount of revenue, or, every reinvesting our capital back into this, how much are we actually getting on that return? That's what you would need to focus on, I'd say, in that aspect, especially in bulk data. If you get a whole bunch of it and it costs you a lot and it's not even useful.
What's the point?
Exactly.
Yeah. What's the point? Yeah, 100%. Now, there's so many companies out there, right? Like, I don't know if you remember when you were working here. I don't know if we were using Zoom Info back then, but Zoom Info is so insanely expensive. And like at the time, I thought it was so cool. I'm like, wow, intent data. I can find people that are already looking for this stuff. And, most of it wasn't really accurate. They're like, I haven't been looking for that. Like, it could have been the janitor at that company that was looking for something, right? And then now they were charging us, I want to say like 30, 40 grand a quarter, right? Um, the data was tons of it, right? Like I still have to this day, I have Warren Buffett's cell phone number. And every now and then we talk and it usually ends up being the same very short conversation. He's usually busy or he's calling me back late at night or something like that. But the fact is I can get anybody's phone number, right? That's pretty cool. But like you said, if these aren't people that want what you have and can't be customers, what is the point of spending all that money just to have access to all of this data, right? Um, have you come across any companies that are similar to Zoom Info that's like a good, honest place to get intent data? Or is intent data not really, you know, uh, I don't want to say legal, but like, is it just not accurate?
I think depending on how it's used, it can definitely be useful. It's more of a temperature reading, I think that's how it should be used rather than a definitive
Right.
yes or no.
Okay.
Um, you can use that information to locate your target segment, your target consumer, exactly who you're looking for. Maybe you're looking for a middle-aged male demographic who have a business and are just starting out,
Right.
something along the lines of that.
Right.
um, Without having the right information, um, you're able to find the right people, but
Right.
using that intent is more about being able to gauge, which ones should I start with first. In reality, you don't know, and every single one of those people you pulled that meet that
Right.
demographic, you should be trying all of them. Really, I mean,
Right.
no stone left unturned if we're talking
Right.
utilizing the data efficiently. But
Right.
you'd start with the warm leads, the ones that have the higher temperature reading, that have
Right.
more likely intent to purchase your service or your good or your product, whatever it is that you're selling for your business.
Right. Right. 100%. Now, with correct me if I'm wrong, but what's more important before you start looking for data and the KPIs that you want and all of that stuff, you want to figure out who your ideal customer is first, right? Who are you actually doing business with, right? Because if you're a B2B company, then your ideal client is someone who owns a business, right? But if you're going after a ton of laundromat owners and you've never once sold a laundromat, that's not what you want to be looking for, right? Like, is it more important to go back through all of your current customers and work backwards and figure out, okay, well, who exactly is my client base?
I think absolutely. Being able to blend both qualitative and quantitative data together is going to give you the best capture of insights that are going to be useful for your business. So, I
Right,
mean, or for anyone's business,
right,
in general. So, whether it's taking that information and looking back through it all to see which ones are actually converting, but then also using that temperature reading with it too, and using the velocity of the lead. So how quickly was it from the first contact until you closed? What
right,
speed was
right,
that transaction at? That's going
right.
to help you identify even more revenue opportunities too. Not only where are you making money, but how quickly are you making money with the people that you are already.
Right, right. No, that makes sense. And so there's so many freaking CRMs out there and point of sales and this, that, and the other. Uh, we use Go High Level, right? We like Go High Level because there's so many things it can integrate with. I'm sure you remember when you used to work here, we had 100 tabs open because we had so many different systems and tools that
Yep.
we were using. And so now we have everything kind of integrated into Go High Level, from our voice AI to our text to our different chat bots to our, paperwork. I mean, everything is all in one place. Um, are there better tools out there for tracking KPIs? And is there a way to go back, right? So like I see companies that don't have a CRM, right? How are they going to go back and track all that stuff, or do they just need to worry about tracking it going forward?
On the end note first, I would say it might be easier in those scenarios where they have a whole backlog of data, potentially. I mean, unless there's an easy way to convert it, maybe just start then moving forward. And then if you're looking to get some sort of historical trend information, maybe use market data or a similar business in a similar type of market to use for historical data in lieu of the historical data for that company because
I
of the,
gotcha.
the,
And
the
where would you find information like that?
It just depends, truthfully, on what type of industry you're in. I know, for specifically, I've been working a lot with hospitality. There are different travel uh, websites where you can find data about how many people in different areas are traveling, how likely they are to travel in distance, how likely are they are to travel to this particular region. And you
Right.
can even go as far as to see, booking reservations and, numbers of dinners ate at certain locations in certain
Wow.
regions.
Very cool.
So that's very useful too for
Right.
hospitality. I mean, being able to like kind of understand the flow of the people coming in that are going to be that target consumer.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally get that. And then so um your the CRM is only as good as the person who's setting it up and utilizing it, right? So
Exactly.
your company, what do you guys focus on as far, so like us, we're very unorganized, right? We know we got to figure out some more of our KPIs. We know we need to dial in more on the data and stop just reaching out to every business that's looking for funding or whatever it may be, to utilize our time better, right? Because even though we have a bunch of automation and AI set up, it's still time consuming when people are scheduling a call that don't qualify or aren't really looking, or things like that, right? That's just more time taken away that they could be closing deals.
Of course.
What does that process look like when you go into a business to help them figure out, okay, well, you're starting with their goals first. What do tell us about that process?
Absolutely. So I like to use a simple three-step framework with every organization, across the board, every industry. So step one, that's identifying the right metrics. So tying them directly to the business goals. If your goal is more sales, then we would track the conversion rate and not just traffic. Um, Step two would be collecting consistently and accurately. If your data is messy or inconsistent, your decisions will be too. Um,
Right.
Step three, acting on the trends and not just one off numbers. So, understanding that one bad day doesn't mean you overhaul your whole strategy, but
Right.
a steady decline over weeks does mean that it's time to act. So,
Right.
some examples would be, for marketing, maybe track your cost per lead and conversion rate. That'll tell you if your marketing spend is actually working.
Right.
Operationally, you could track cycle time and error rates, and that's where you'll be able to identify bottlenecks and improve efficiency.
Uh,
Um, Sales wise, like we're just now talking, you could track that pipeline velocity. So, how quickly the deals move from first contact to close. Um,
right.
right in there, you'll find a lot of hidden insights that will bring you back a lot more revenue than you can think.
Right. Yeah, definitely, man. So when the conversation of data comes up, right? People think of meta, right? Meta is listening to everything we say, doing, all that stuff, right? It's like right now we're talking about data. I guarantee you when we go on Facebook later, we're going to see some ads for data or some courses about data or whatever.
I'm sure.
Do you think most data nowadays is coming through social media? Like, I mean, how much information is out there, and how do people like small businesses get access to that data?
That's a great question. Specifically about metadata too. That brings up exactly that metadata. It said that in itself is data that describes other data. So there's data, right? You can have like here's an AR report, right? And then you have the metadata about like financial statement, accounting report, something like that.
Right.
All that's all going to be the metadata attached to it. So whenever you're searching, if you've got the right web crawlers or the right tools to access it, you can use that to find all sorts of information too. I would say directly back to accessing it for business use. It's a matter of understanding your target consumer. A lot of the takeaways I've found recently that are the most applicable for this would be understanding your target consumer's lifestyle and not just the purchase habits. So
Interesting.
if you have someone, for let's just say we've been talking hospitality recently. If there's a hotel guest that this is, say, the persona of the target consumer, we can see that they like to go to these hotels. We can see that they like to go to these regions. How else can we help produce revenue essentially, whether it's
Right.
partnering with companies in parallel industries or it's finding out other unlocked advertising opportunities. It's being able to unlock that person doesn't just like this hotel in these regions, it's that they like kayaking. And if we were to find a tour guide and pair them with that or pair them with a local shop that sells these things, I mean, that would be additional revenue and it would be a conversion. It wouldn't just be a wasted lead for either end of that
Right.
business transaction.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, so the thing that I think frustrates me the most about data is like I see the best targeted ads all the time, like all the time. I mean, even from like when I'm watching a TV show and it's showing me the ads that I would be interested in, right? Like streaming, and I'm just like, what the hell? Like,
Right.
what? How are these guys doing it? Um, is it really just a know-how? Like they just know where to go to get the information? Is it uh you know it's got to be right. There's got to be some great marketplace for data that you can pretty much select down to the pant size and whatever that of your ideal customer, because it's just so targeted nowadays. And but then us smaller guys are having a hard time getting it that targeted, right?
Definitely. To a degree, I would say it's partnering with the right marketing tools. Um, this ties back a little bit to understanding your target consumer a little bit more and their lifestyle, so to speak. So, um, if I were targeting someone for, say, someone as a data client,
Right.
for me, I might use something more like LinkedIn because the people who are looking to get some sort of professional, they're probably going to be going to that type of platform more so to find that type of professional that rather than like, oh, I know I'm going to go to Facebook and
Right.
find, my data professional, probably not, but maybe on LinkedIn. Um, it's about
I got you. So
understanding that
it's really
really.
understanding where your buyer is spending time.
Yes, and then you can use those tools, those actual mediums. If they're on LinkedIn, if they're on Facebook, if they're on Snapchat,
Right.
if they're on Google, any of those things, using those platforms to understand and peel back the layers to understand who's spending what and where, they're going to
Right.
know better. They're the ones who have on your phone when you download the app, oh, you have to give it this permission for your microphone. Why is that? Huh?
Right.
Maybe because they're listening and it's got an AI putting metadata tags to all the
Yep.
stuff you say. And then later in the day, that's why you have those ads pop up on your feed
Yep.
because they sold it to the
Exactly.
companies.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So I figured out my persona. I figured out where my ideal client is spending time, then it's really just making sure you have uh the right story or the right tagline, or what is the like I like to stick to the original, just email and phone call, right? I'm going to call you, I'm going to email you. Do you think that that way of marketing has, has lost a lot of its value, or do you still think it's, tried and true and it's never going to change?
I definitely think that it has great application and it has a lot of success and across the board, not just the industry you're in but other
Right.
ones as well. I think it's going to stay that way for a while, but there's definitely an evolution occurring throughout marketing in general,
Right.
in the way that businesses operate.
Yeah.
The coming of digital platforms has allowed businesses to reach much more broader audiences much more quickly.
Hmm.
Potentially, depending on how they're used, they could each have their strengths. I think it would be dependent upon the angle that you're looking to take. If you're looking to just get out there and get the most raw numbers that you can, I think that the best option for you would be to maybe even potentially get like some sort of AI to web crawl through emails for you. If you are sending them out, just try and mass as much as you can. Maybe just use a web crawler on the email, and then that would be able to allow you to comb through more of them than you would be able to physically on your
What
own.
what's a web crawler?
That's just anything. I'd say that term, but you could use an AI to do it too, like a bot. Something to just go through those emails, find out what they're talking about, reply to them possibly, and just move to that step to see who actually gets to the point where you need a human being to become
Oh,
involved.
awesome. So you can set that to automatically, and you can do that on any with any email system?
Yeah, as crazy as it sounds, I've even done it myself just for fun, trying it. When I was learning about all of this, there's a code you have to get to sync it to your own personal email, of course, or any specific
Right.
one when you're
Right.
writing it. But I had an email, a Python script I wrote where it went in and it basically pulled all my bills and it tallied it all up and it gave me a monthly total, how much I had to spend, and if there's any variances between that and the prior months to let me know
Wow.
like kind of like what was going on, like the trend.
That's crazy, dude. That's
It's
really
neat.
cool. So yeah, so like we have a system that we use where we have probably about 1,000 different domains, and then each domain has like three to five email addresses. So it's thousands of email accounts. Probably wouldn't work for something like that. But
You could
yeah,
have a bot though, and basically it would just look at the screen. I mean, you could get like a cheap, like a GPT bot, and it could just look at the screen, go through them all. It wouldn't have to be for any specific one. Um,
interesting.
you'd have to teach it
I'm
though in
gonna
the
have to,
beginning.
yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that. And now there's so many different companies out there where you can go and buy these bots, and because at the end of the day, data is great, but if you're not actively contacting it, right, like, and let's be honest, people nowadays are lazy, so you've gotta automate as much as possible. Um, so that all that data is being contacted so it converts, right? You hand a sales rep a hot sale, they're going to hit it, right? But it's got to get there first, and utilizing AI and these bots to comb through the data and to figure out which ones are hot, which ones should be transferred to a sales rep. What is a great marketplace or place to go to have those bots built out? There's just so many different places. Like, where do you go?
So I know. I mean, it's the brand name, so to speak, ChatGPT. I know that they offer them. Even on like a GPT 3.0, I think is like a mini you can get, which is a cheaper model. So it doesn't have to do anything intricate or anything super crazy, but it's enough
Right,
to hold a conversation. It's enough to do menial tasks.
right.
It can respond to emails, hold a conversation, and get basic um, task accomplished. If you need this piece of info, this piece of info, this piece of info, it can get that. But it doesn't need to be able to make like a spreadsheet and run queries for you in a data set or anything like that. So we don't need the
Right.
advanced ones, necessarily.
Right.
But you could use like a cheaper like 3.0 mini or something like that and still
Right.
accomplish what you need to.
Interesting. So Chat GPT is doing the bots. Now, they called specifically chat bots, or there's a bunch of different.
So you can use them for different purposes. They are called bots, though. Typically, it would be for chat purposes most of the time how they're used. I know some people
Right.
even use them over the phone. It's a little bit more intricate to set up, but
Right.
someone can call, and typically, what would normally be a person answering the phone, it's now an
Yeah.
AI, and they can
Right.
sound just as pleasant and be,
Yeah.
friendly and everything
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. We did we got into voice AI a couple years ago. Um it was super expensive. It wasn't as good as it is now. So we're so there's two things we're building out for hitting all of our data. And as you know, I have a ton of data.
I'm
So
sure.
one is an AI version of me. So it looks like me, talks like me, acts like me, moves like me. For our affiliates and referral partners to be able to get support and help and training whenever they need it. So they just hop on Zoom and it's like they're on Zoom with me, and they ask their questions, they say what they need help with, um and I help them. And
That's pretty
then
cool.
the other thing is yeah, voice AI. So before, when we were using it, um business owners would get mad like, oh, this is, after a while they could tell it's oh, this is a computer, so we realized if we tell the business right out the gate, I'm an AI bot, they actually continue the conversation and they respect it. They're like, man, this is really cool. Right? Because we tell you, hey, look, I'm an AI bot. I'm going to just get a few pieces of information for you. So that way, our funding specialist has all the information they need to get you the best rate and term possible. I just need 2 minutes of your time, and then I'm going to schedule a call with our funding specialist to get you submitted to underwriting.
And that's a
And
perfect
it's like,
example.
boom. Yeah, dude, it's great. It's great, man. It really is. Um, so my last question on data is, how do you feel about recycling data? And how often should you recycle data, right? Like, I go through a list, I beat it to hell, and then I probably never touch it again, right? Scrubbing data, right? Checking for valid phone numbers, valid emails. I mean, that can get really pricey, right? We have about probably 20 million cell phone numbers, emails, etc. Um what's your thoughts on recycling?
I would say once it's validated, you shouldn't necessarily need to recycle it, so to speak. But I think it should go into maybe a more long term um, prospective cycle. Maybe if it doesn't work in the first, the quick iteration, so to speak, that first
Right.
for 1 to 2 weeks, maybe hit it with like a slower maybe 2 to 3, 4, 5, 7 weeks. And then if
Right.
that doesn't work, use a different tactic for a longer, maybe 6, 7, 8 months. If
Right.
that doesn't work, you can keep switching your tactics and like the level of emphasis you're putting into it. But I don't think it would ever, once validated, and who it is, if they ever want any sort of financing, specifically in this instance, or if any instance, if they're looking for your services or sales at all, um,
Right.
I mean, they're not going to be thinking of you if you're not reaching out to them and you're not on their mind to think
Yeah.
of when they want it.
Yeah. Exactly, man. Exactly. Dude, so just to kind of wrap up, so obviously figuring out what your KPIs are, figuring out who your ideal customer is, um, getting the data at the right places, and then having the right stuff to be able to hit that data. So tell us what you've got for our viewers and listeners that can help them with their data, and what they've got going on in their company.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, if you do nothing else after listening to this episode, I would recommend to you to just pick one area of your business, choose one metric that truly matters, and just track it for 30 days. Don't overcomplicate it, just watch it and understand it, and maybe make one small change based on what you see, and you'll be amazed at the clarity it brings. And if you're not sure which metric matters the most for your business, I am offering a free 30-minute data clarity call. We'll be looking at one area of your business, whether it's sales, marketing, or operations, and I'll help you identify the single most important metric to focus on right now. You can connect
Awesome.
with me directly on LinkedIn.
Cool.
Just search for Christian Davenport and
I'll
mention.
put your LinkedIn
Yep,
link in the description, so they'll be able to
perfect,
just click that and get to you, man.
perfect.
Awesome, brother. Well, dude, it's great catching up with you, man. It's funny. Data sounds like such a lame conversation, but it was good, man. Definitely some things for me to think about. Yeah, man, I'll definitely be giving you a call so we can run through some of our KPIs and see what we could be doing better.
Absolutely, man. So, and thanks for having me again too. And for everyone listening, remember, data isn't about spreadsheets. It's about making better decisions faster and with less risk. Um,
Definitely, man. Definitely. Smart decisions, right? It all comes from data.
exactly.
Appreciate you, brother.
Good seeing you, man.